Well, everyone, we're going to just give everybody another minute or so to get signed on. All right. Thank you all for joining tonight. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public information meeting for State Project 159-195, which is the rehabilitation of Bridge 448 carrying Route 515 southbound over Route 314 in Wethersfield, Connecticut. My name is Corey Burrows from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Consulting Bridge Design, and I'm the MC for tonight. We hope that everybody finds this presentation informative and that we'll be able to address any questions or concerns you may have. I also want to thank Cheryl Pierce from the Town Manager's Office for coordinating with the project team and for helping tonight's meeting happen. Next slide, please. Before we get started with the main presentation, I want to walk through the goals and format for tonight's meeting. First, I will introduce the project team, including the department leadership, the consultant liaison, as well as the design teams. Then we'll have the technical portion of the presentation, which will include the condition of the existing structure, the purpose and need for the project, the recommended design, and then we'll follow that up with an open forum comment and questions portion. Next slide, please. As part of the Title VI civil rights, no person shall on the basis of race, color, or national origin be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. A link is provided on this slide for additional civil rights information. We would greatly appreciate it if you would complete the public survey after tonight's meeting. A link and QR code are provided on this slide. Links to both the public survey and the civil rights flyer are also available on the project webpage. Next slide, please. This is the Title VI notice to the public, which states that the Connecticut Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regards to race, color, and national origin in accordance with the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes he or she has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the CTDOT. Next slide, please. This slide has the Title VI notice to the public in Spanish. I will pause on the screen for a minute before moving on to the next slide. And just a reminder, a recording of this presentation will be posted to YouTube after the event, which you can find linked to the project webpage. Next slide, please. Available to those joining us tonight through Zoom is the option to view captions or subtitles. To turn on this feature, select the Show Captions button or the CC button at the bottom of your screen. Then select the Speaking Language button and then select the desired language. Next slide, please. To use the Zoom Q&A function, select the Q&A tool at the bottom of your webinar window. The Q&A window will open as seen on the right. Then you can type the question in the text box and click Enter, and it will submit the question. Next slide, please. Questions can be submitted in multiple ways. For the quickest response, please submit questions through the Zoom Q&A as noted on the previous slide. This function will only be available during tonight's meeting. If you would like to submit your questions through email, please use the email provided on your screen, dotproject0159-0195@ct.gov. And lastly, if you prefer to submit your question by phone, you can call 860-594-2020 and leave a voicemail. Please state your name and reference the project number as the reason for your call in the voicemail. The project email, voicemail, and Q&A box will be screened by the project team, and the project team will then read the questions out loud. Questions may be asked at any time during the presentations, but they will be answered at the end. There's also a project webpage where a recording of tonight's meeting will be made available. The webpage will also include information that was explained on how to leave questions and comments for the project team. The website is shown on the screen and in the webinar chat. The question and comment period by email or phone will be open through May 27th. Next slide, please. I'd like to introduce the project team. First, we have from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Derek Lessard, the Division Chief of Bridges, Francisco Fadul, Supervising Engineer, Cora Burrows, the Project Engineer, and Kathleen Erickson, the Property Rights-of-Way Coordinator. Next slide. Additionally, CHA Consulting is working on the project as the department's consultant liaison engineers. From CHA, we have Don Wurst, the CLE Program Manager, and Eric Hoyt, the CLE Project Manager. Banesh is the consultant design engineer for this project. Mark Havoc is the project manager, and Ryan Allard is the roadway lead. Next slide, please. This slide shows a map of Connecticut and just highlights the location of Wethersfield relative to the rest of Connecticut. Wethersfield's located in Connecticut, Department of Transportation, District 1. Next slide. Here you'll see the location of the project site relative to Route 515, locally known as the Berlin Turnpike. To the left is an image of the bridge elevation looking south. And I will now hand the presentation over to Kathleen Erickson to discuss the rights-of-way process.
Thank you, Corey. So again, my name is Kathleen Erickson, and I'm a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights-of-Way. Our office is responsible for acquiring property rights that are needed for transportation projects all throughout the state. As you'll see in this presentation, this project will require the acquisition of property rights, so I'll just be giving you a brief overview of our acquisition process. Before I get further into that, though, I do want to mention that the specific property impacts for this project are still being finalized, and they may change as the design progresses. Also, any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Sections 13A-73 and 13A-98E, as well as the Uniform Act. And next slide, please. So the right-of-way acquisition process begins once the design has progressed to a development milestone and all the impacts for the project have been determined. At that point, each affected property owner will receive from our office a formal letter of intent to acquire, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. On the screen here, you can see a sample of what the property maps look like. Next, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights, which will be used to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner to explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and to explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable amount of time, which is typically about 30 days, to consider the state's offer and to enter into negotiations. And then once an agreement has been reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and the property map on the town land records, However, if an agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state would file a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would then have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt the state's offer was inadequate. Now, whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner at any time. It is important to note, too, the state will only be acquiring property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the right-of-way acquisition process, I'm happy to answer them during the Q&A portion of tonight's meeting. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Eric to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Kathleen. As stated, my name is Eric Hoyt. I'm with CHA Consulting, and I work on the CLE department for this project. Right here, we see our potential right-of-way impacts. It affects 3 properties, potentially, which would be the Emmanuel Synagogue of Hartford, HEPA 58 Inc., and the MDC pump station. What we have outlined here is on the left-hand side, a multimodal path, and on the right-hand side, the potential limits for a bus stop improvement. So a history of Bridge 448, our bridge in question today, and subject rather. It was built in 1942. It's a 152-foot span. It's a reinforced concrete deck, reinforced concrete abutment and wing wall. And the Average daily traffic is 13,700 vehicles per day. Here I will highlight the purpose and need of the project. Purpose of the project is to address the deficiencies identified in the Connecticut DOT Bridge Inspection Report affecting bridge number 448, to improve the condition and extend the service life of the bridge, and provide safe travel conditions for all facility users. The needs include the following: improve the load rating factor to 1.0 or greater for all legal vehicles, improve the MBI condition rating to a 5 or better, maintain the travel on Route 515 and Route 314 during and after construction, repair the steel frame, repair the existing substructure concrete, clean, repair, and coat all shoe bearings, and we will also replace all deck joints. Here we have a picture on top of our bridge here looking down the roadway. This image is looking in the west direction. As we can see here, the deck is in good condition as it was rated in our bridge inspection report. Here we show some pictures of the underside of the deck. Again, we see a good to satisfactory condition, and this is just the concrete of the deck itself, not the steel. We'll get over to that part of the project later on, but this has been determined also to be in good condition, so our deck is in fair shape. Now we get over to the superstructure and we start to see where the project needs attention. So we have a 4 rating poor for the superstructure, and these pictures highlight some of the damage that we see. In particular, one of the shoe bearings is in very rough shape, as well as the fascia column legs on the exterior are display a lot of rust, and some of the steel under the bridge has areas of deteriorated paint and section loss. So we will be addressing all of those deficiencies for this project. Now we see some pictures of the concrete substructure. This as well has some pretty bad spalling of the concrete. So our method for this will be to reface the concrete and fix the aesthetic nature of the wing walls and abutments. So where we're marked here is fair at worst. So with our refacing, we believe we can get this up to a satisfactory. Now I'll highlight the proposed bridge project overall. So we are going to achieve a load rating factor of 1.2 or greater for all rating vehicles, including emergency vehicles. We will reface the substructure, the concrete substructure there. We will repair the steel where deficient, also restoring the paint on all the steel with a metallized coating. On top of the deck, we will do a SPMO treatment. That's a strip, patch, membrane, and overlay on the deck, where we strip the asphalt down to the deck. We patch any deficiencies. We apply a membrane, and then we will overlay with new asphalt. After that, we will replace the deck joints, and we will, as a goal of the project, we will minimize travel interruptions on Route 515 and Route 314. I will talk more about the travel impacts in a later slide. Also, we will improve existing pedestrian, bicycle, and bus facilities and access on Route 314. So this is a visual showing our proposed bridge project. And on the top here, we see the limits of the bridge joint replacement in yellow. And then in orange, we see the limits of our SPMO strip patch membrane overlay treatment. So this is on the top side of the bridge deck. On the bottom, we see in red, green, and blue limits of the other part of our project, which would be refacing the abutment concrete, metallizing the bridge steel, and then blast clean and painting the bearings. Now here's where we talk about the maintenance and protection of traffic. The main item here is that there will be no detour for this project. We will be able to achieve all of this work with only limiting, with having traffic open in all directions and only closing one lane at a time. Route 314 traffic queues will not be affected by limits as shown on the screen for when we have to do our work on our abutments or our steel. On the top side, which is Route 515 southbound, we will be taking a lane over the bridge just on off-peak hours, and we will not see any traffic queuing during that time. So it'll be night work. And then on 515 southbound, the traffic will open 2 lanes for peak flows, which would be rush hour and daytime traffic. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, we are proposing a multimodal path as part of this project, as well as bus stop improvements where there is an existing bus stop facility right next to the HEPA facility. So in the left-hand side here, we see a plan for the bus stop facility. This has bus pull-offs on both sides of the road and bus facilities on both bounds. There will be a covered shelter as well as a crosswalk connecting both bus facilities. On the right side of this slide, we see the limits of the proposed multimodal path. This will start at the bottom at Knott Street and will ascend up 314 on the west side of the road, 1,700 feet. We are proposing a 10-foot wide facility for this multimodal path. Here we can see an image just showing a view of how the path might look besides the roadway. So again, we'll have our roadway of Route 314 and a grass buffer in between our 10-foot multimodal path. So for project schedule and construction costs, we will begin construction in fall 2026. We will end construction fall 2027. The construction cost is $6,400,000, 80% of which is federal and 20% of which is state. Work will be done at zero cost to the town of Wethersfield. Project schedule and costs are preliminary and subject to change. And now I will turn it over for the question and answer session.
Thank you, Eric. So that concludes the presentation for tonight's meeting. We will now move on into the open forum portion for your comments and questions. Oh, we've already got one. Is this project also including the bridge reconstruction of 515 near Silas Dean and Hartford Ave? There was supposed to be a public hearing in November, which got canceled. If you have any input on that project, I would appreciate an update. Francisco, do you want to take this one?
All right, yes, there's no particular update from that project yet, and we'll be coordinating with that team. We were not in tune to the canceled public hearing, and we can follow up with further info on this.
All right, thanks, Francisco.
Yep.
As a reminder, you can enter your questions into the Zoom Q&A chat. You can also submit an email question at dotproject0159-0195@ct.gov, or you can call 860-594-2020 and leave a voicemail. with your name and reference to project number and as well as your question. I do want to remind everybody that the comment period will be open through May 27th, should you think of a question after tonight's meeting. Are there any sound mitigation planned? Francisco,
Yes, so the Connecticut DOT currently operates on a pattern where sound studies get done and certain areas get flagged for like these sound barriers. This particular location got studied, and we don't have the need here, and we couldn't proceed with that here.
thank you, Francisco.
Sure.
We have another question. What will the travel lane width at the pedestrian crossing be? I hope 10 feet for traffic calming. Eric, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, this is still in development, but no, we're talking the travel lane width at which section?
Bus stop,
The bus stop. I think we were
I
looking
think.
at, yeah, this is still in development, and we have traffic calming in mind here as a very high point because of the crosswalk and the speed of the traffic in both bounds. So we're going to work with our design partner here to make sure we have the best solution, um, whether it be 10 feet or 11 feet. But we're going to work with the DOT here as well. So
I would like to add that at the bus stop, there is going to be a raised pedestrian island to protect pedestrians as they cross.
which being a raised island is a traffic calming device in itself.
Oh, Kevin, I think he was referring to when we're reducing the lane widths on the bridge itself.
Oh, okay. So again, that would be in develop. So when we're in construction, closing a lane on top of the bridge, um, it would be probably at about. I'm not sure of that answer, but we can look at our NPT plans when they become developed. Right now, what I could tell you is it's a 36-foot um, width with as standing with 2 lanes in traffic, and that includes the little breakdown areas too. So yeah, we'll look at that.
Kevin did clarify, he said that he was referring to the lane width on 314. So those are likely going to be reduced to 11-foot lanes based
Mhm.
on upcoming DOT highway standards. In addition to the raised pedestrian island. Tyler has a question. The upcoming project on 515 and 99, is any sound mitigation plan for that? Currently, both of these projects are in the planning stages, and like Francisco said previously, they will be evaluated for that later on. Francisco, do you have anything else to add for that one?
Just wanted to say I'm not fully in tune to that other project. on 99, but I can say on this particular project here, that we're not going to be pursuing sound barriers.
Thanks, Francisco.
Sure.
Andy says, are we really expecting pedestrians to cross 2 lanes of traffic on the Berlin Turnpike to get to the various bus stops and not get killed? So the bus stop is going to be located further to the north off of the main stretch of the 4 lane, 2 lanes each way, Berlin Turnpike. So the only bus shelter that we're improving is that bus shelter on 515 as you're going towards Hartford beyond the bridge. So Kevin says islands help for pedestrian crossing on 314, but 10-foot would be much better for traffic calming than 11-foot. Say, Francisco, you want to answer this one?
Sure. The comments noted, Connecticut DOT is going to take that into consideration and weigh that against the design standards and the parameters that we're allowed to use here. But yes, thank you for the suggestion on 10-foot lanes to assist in traffic calming through this area.
This is a question for Francisco. Are you considering sound barriers for the additional bridge project near Hartford Ave at 5 and 15 past 99? How can one go about suggesting this to be added to the project?
Good question. Please contact the Connecticut DOT inbox for this public meeting, and then we can follow up on this separately. But like I said, I am privy to the information on this particular project, but not the surrounding area projects, to be honest, concerning noise walls. But the understanding I have, and from previous conversations recently with the folks that run that study, they've told us flat out that the study has been conducted and this particular area is just not going to receive the noise wall. That's just due to the eligibility on the federal funding and so forth. And we couldn't even proceed forward with that here. But if you don't mind, just contact us through the email shown here, and we can answer questions separately concerning noise barriers for other locations.
Thank you, Francisco. There
Sure.
was a follow-up to that. Is this results for those study public information?
I can provide information to whoever emails the inbox. It's public information. Connecticut DOT's got a website for this. I don't know it at the top of my head, but I can definitely provide that to anyone who emails to that inbox.
All right, thanks, Francisco.
Sure.
Tyler said, who might we follow up with regarding any possible sound mitigation for the work plan for 515 and 99? Thanks again. So for any follow-up questions that you may have regarding the sound barriers or this project or another project in the area, please email the project email here, DOT project 0159-0195@ct.gov. And we'll do our best to answer your questions and get you in touch with who you need to be in touch with. And Kevin just had a comment thanking us for the bus stop, the pedestrian crossing. Thank you, Kevin. We have another question. I was under the assumption that all three bridges were going to be one project. Is there now going to be three separate projects? So this project is separate from the three bridge projects that you're referencing. Those projects were broken out into a separate project. They were part of a design build that were going to come through after this project. So they're currently in the planning stages. There's also a highway project that was attached to those three bridges as well that's been broken off into its own project. So there's two additional projects, one highway, and then there's one bridge project that includes those three bridges. Our project 159, 195 is separate from those two. And the highway project is currently in the planning stages. There's no schedule for that project yet. You're welcome, Mike. And if anybody wants additional information on those other two projects I just referenced, please email the project email. Sandy asks, what is the proposed timeline on the three bridge project? I can answer this one. So currently that project is scheduled to go in construction in the summer of 2028, I think. It's a little younger than this project is in terms of project development. So this project should be complete by the time that one is in construction. Just a reminder, the comment period for this is open until May 27th. So if you think of anything after tonight's meeting, you have until then to submit your questions either by email or by phone. I'll wait another minute or so for if there's any more questions that trickle in. You can enter your questions in the Q&A window, send an email to the project email, or call 860-594-2020 and leave a voicemail. At the conclusion of the comment period, the report of meeting will be drafted for this presentation, and that will include all the questions and answers from tonight's meeting, and that will be posted to the project webpage that is shown on this slide. Last call for any more questions. It looks like that's it for questions tonight. Thank you, everybody, for attending and your participation in tonight's virtual public informational meeting. We appreciate everybody's time, input, and your questions. As I said previously, we'll be monitoring the phone and email address during the comment period, which runs through May 27th. A link to the project webpage has been posted to the chat. We're looking forward to a successful project here in Wethersfield. Thank you again, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.